I was literally thrown into the sport of judo by my father. My father was a judo instructor, started his school in 1972. I was 2 years old. At the age of 5, I began my actual judo training where I was required to put on the gi, participate in class, bow in with every other student, bow out when class was over, and do a full practice 3 times a week. I have many memories that I'll never forget. When I was 16 years old, I competed in the US Open in Colorado Springs. And at the time, the US Open was the toughest domestic tournament, meaning it was on US soil, but the entire world came to compete. I had advanced pretty far as a young kid. I was only 125 pounds, and the smallest weight class was 132. Made it all the way back to the bronze medal match. And in that bronze medal match, I was fighting against just this really strong, technical guy from Korea. And I scored off the first attack. I made a nice throw and I scored in the match. And then the rest of the fight, the guy just came at me and physically manhandled me, just dragged me around, and he ended up winning the match because I was stalling. And when I came off the mat after that match, my father laid into me like you would not believe, and basically told me that if I ever fought like that again, he would kill me. I went outside, I was upset, I was pissed off, I was laying in the snow with my judo gi on in Colorado Springs, thinking how much I hated the sport, and I wondered why I even did it. It changed the way I fought for the rest of my life, because I realized that if you want to succeed, you can't be afraid of anything. And if you want to win, you always have to go for it. And so from that day forward, every single match I fought, I was offensive from the very beginning of the match till the time was up. So I'd say the proudest moment in my athletic career was winning the World Championships in 1999. To me, being on the top of the podium, hearing the national anthem being played, that was a dream come true, especially because growing up, the Cold War was going on. It was US versus USSR, United States versus Russia. And it just so happened that in the finals of that World Championships, I fought against the Russian. It was the kind of Rocky Balboa story, right? And to me, it was just such a memorable moment. In fact, I felt so confident about that World Championships that I actually invited my father, who's my coach, but I invited him to come. I paid for him to come to the World Championships that year. I said, Dad, I'm on a streak. I've beaten everybody in the world this year. I want you to come, be in the stands, and watch me win a world title. He doesn't say, my dad is a man of few words. He doesn't say much, but when he has that twinkle in his eye, and he's on the verge of tears. He will never cry, but he's on the verge of tears, and he got a twinkle in his eye, gives you a big hug. You've done good. In 1996, I won a medal. I was the only American to win a medal at that Olympic Games. It was here in Atlanta. I was losing my bronze medal fight with about a minute left, and there was a break in the action, and I was tying my belt, and the whole audience started cheering, USA, USA. And it really did pick me up to a whole nother level. I walked right out there, I grabbed the Brazilian, I came in a Tai Otoshi throw, he fell on his knees, I picked him up, I lifted him with Uchimata, threw him flat on his back and won by Ippon, the most spectacular fashion. And you're an Olympian always, but once you're an Olympic medalist, you're in an elite class. And it was truly a special feeling, especially because it was the United States. The only way you can still stay a part of it is competing with your students or through your students. As a coach and through my experience, the way I identify somebody with future potential is somebody who hates losing more than they like winning. It is somebody who, during training, never quits, never gives up, never surrenders. This mindset is something that I share with all of my athletes about, especially people like Kayla and Travis and Marty and a lot of the top athletes in this country, of just being fearless. Like, nobody's better than us. And I think that's what makes champions out of students. I think more importantly than that, I'm also just as proud of all the students that aren't Olympic champions, that really transform their life by doing judo. The short, pudgy kid that got picked on from the age of 7 or 8 in school, who now is this massively strong human being and who's tackling life right now and having success in everything they do. That type of student brings me probably more joy, because you really made a difference in that kid's life. I think the biggest shame is when someone gives up on their dream because they think they can't make it. And what they don't realize is that every athlete, regardless of how good they are or how, what they've accomplished in their lives, they all had very, very dark days. They all had very bad times. There were times I sat on the steps at the Budokan in Japan outside after just getting smashed for Ippon. I felt like a complete failure, thinking, man, I suck. How am I ever going to win an Olympic medal? How am I ever going to make it to the World Championship podium if I can't even beat these guys? It's in those moments where you decide, like, you've got to flip a switch and you've got to stop feeling sorry for yourself. And you got to continue grinding. And you got to continue, trying to get better and improving and pushing yourself and getting to the next competition and putting that one behind you and trying to get on the path to success again. And it's important that you go back and you